It's March. Welcome back to my monthly financial business review. I'm going to be looking down at a lot of this because I've got the laptop in front of me. I just elbowed my cat in the head. Here he is. This is Delvin. Hey, buddy. Oh my god. That's crochet. Please don't put your claws in it. Welcome back to the March financial review. This is the third month that I've been actively tracking my income, expenses, and profit for my small business. If you're new here, my name is Katie. I'm a self-employed dog groomer in regional Victoria, Australia. To recap what my goals were for March, my business goals, it was to get my ATO account into enough credit to fully cover the quarter 3 BAS by the 1st of April, which is when that quarter stopped accruing. My second goal for the month was to track all of the hours I worked, because I know I work a lot of extra hours than what I actually should work, and I wanted to start paying myself appropriately for the hours I was working. So did I achieve those goals? Yes. I'm smashing it. I'm smashing these little goals. I'm making them small and attainable, which is really working. Let's maybe start with the income, the expenses, and the profit. The raw numbers for March were income $15,328, expenses $16,458, which gives me a profit margin of -7%, which seems bad, but there were two things this month that affected that. The first thing is that at the end of the month, I had $500 of cash takings that I hadn't deposited by the end of the month, so it doesn't count towards March. And I also had to pay annual insurance. So, clearly those aren't an every month thing. God damn, this cat is so cute. If you take those out of the equation, my adjusted profit margin actually would have been plus 8%, positive 8%. So that is genuinely very, very good. And I think it's probably a testament to how well things are going now with all these positive changes that I've made, that we can be $500 under with cash and $2,000 over with insurance, and things are still fine. And also now that I've got 3 months of data, I'm not really fussing too much over the individual month. I'm also looking at the big picture. Wages and pay and tracking hours. So like I said, I did track all of my hours for March, and I knew that I was working a lot of extra hours, but I didn't really know how many extra hours I was working. Turns out in 1 month I did 22.5 hours of unpaid overtime. So good job me. I used that data to see whether a $2 an hour raise for myself and my employee would be doable, and it turns out it totally is. The February price increase definitely helped. I said that in the last video. And also, now that I'm caught up in my BAS, those painful $900 a week ATO payments are gone. They're gone. I reduced it down to $400 a week, so they're not so expensive anymore, and that's also an extra $500 a week that I don't have to pull out of nowhere if we didn't make budget that week. I used some of the extra profit this month to fix things that needed fixing, for example, the Roomba needed some spare parts. I bought some equipment that we needed. I got our old equipment sharpened and serviced. I'm oh my god, so it was a little bit of an expensive month. I spent more than I would have on repairs and things like that, but it was all stuff that really needed doing, and things are working so much better now that they're fixed. Something I haven't mentioned, I don't think, in my previous videos is that my employee, who is also my little sister, is planning on leaving sometime soon to start her own brow business. She did my brows. I love them. I feel more attractive every morning when I wake up, which is a big bonus. What is this cat doing? You are so cute. Oh my god, look at him. He just wants attention so bad. But due to some personal unexpected things that have popped up in her life, she now needs to leave as soon as possible, which is totally doable, genuinely not a problem. It just means that it's going to need a little bit more reshuffling. So that's something that I'll probably have to work towards in April. The plan is for her to be done completely by the end of the month at the very latest, but any earlier would be greater. And the less she can work, the better. So we're kind of just working through it at the moment, just rescheduling dogs. I've had to cull the client list down a little bit. So my April plan, because of this, I was thinking that the game plan for April, the the monthly goal that I have, is to reduce my client base to make the workload more manageable. With my sister needing to leave as soon as possible, it's no longer sometime in the future I have to reduce my client list. thing. It's like a right now I have to reduce my client list thing. Plan, restructure the calendar because there's a lot of double bookings. I'll see if I can get a screen grab later when I'm on my actual computer and not my laptop. So this is an example of what a normal day with just me looks like. As you can see, each block is a dog or a client, probably is the better way to put it. But you can see there's no overlaps. And here's a day that has a lot of overlaps. Obviously, I can't do all of that. I'm not that fast. I'm very fast, but I'm not that fast. So far, I have cut the client list down by how many clients? 42 dogs. It's what I have to do to make this business work for me, but it does feel bad. So far, everyone has been really, really sweet and kind and nice about being cut off. I don't have my phone here I do have my phone. I'm recording on my phone, so I can't show you the text message that I've been sending to clients. But basically, it just explains the situation. It says, look, I'm really sorry, but like things have changed unexpectedly. So I'll be working solo and I just can't keep up. I'm genuinely very apologetic. It's nothing against you as a client or your dog. Here's like the details of 6 other dog groomers in town who can help you. And so far, everyone's been really kind and lovely about it. I've had a few people message back and say like, no stress. Like, obviously we're very sad that we can't come back, but like no problem at all. If you ever, have more staff in the future and you can take us back, like let us know. We'd love to come back. But I have had 2 people be rude about it. So regarding dropping clients, I've already, like I said, I've dropped those like 40 something clients, which is going to help with reshuffling things. But I do have to put more effort into actually starting the rescheduling process. I just feel like I want to cut the client list down as much as I can before I start rescheduling. Another thing to consider for the future is that I definitely do not want to hire again. I would rather drink bleach than hire again. But I have had someone late last year reach out about a rent-a-table agreement. She's moving up to town. I know her personally. I used to work with her. I absolutely love her. And yeah, she asked if she could work with me, and I think I was the one actually who mentioned the rent-a-table thing. I was like, look, I don't really want another employee, but if you want to just rent space and work in the salon and run your own thing, that'd be ideal. So I think that's what we're going to do, but that's not until about June. I think it was like July or August, so we'll see how that goes. The first quarter of the year compared to the last quarter of the year. This is wild to me when I looked at it. But the first quarter of this year stacked up against the first quarter of last year. 2024, the income was $56,000, but the expenses were $57,000. So in the first 3 months, we lost $1,600 for a negative 3% profit margin. But for 2025, the income was less, $44,000, but the expenses were also less, $43,000, which was a positive of $1,600, which made our profit margin a positive 4%. So even with less income, we've made more profit this first quarter compared to last year's first quarter. This time last year, I had 2 employees actively working, and then one of them was on leave, and I still had a negative margin. So there was 3 dog groomers and a negative profit margin. I think it really goes to show that employees aren't necessarily the answer to feeling like you don't have enough money. In fact, I feel like sometimes they're the opposite. I'm now doing better financially with fewer hands and way less stress with the people managing side of things. Sure, it's a little bit more stressful. Like now I have to do the lion's share of the reception or the cleaning or the actual grooming or whatever, but I genuinely don't mind as long as we're making money. I was watching a video from Box Accountants here on YouTube, and in one of his videos, he said that whenever he hires a staff member, he tells them, I'll pay you whatever you want as long as you bring in 3 times that amount. So like 1/3 is your wage, 1/3 is overheads, and the other third is profit. I feel like I probably should have done something similar. It's hard because the thing with dog grooming is like I want my employees to do a really good job, but there is a line where doing a really good job and taking too long just doesn't mesh. So like if you can do an incredible groom but you can only groom 2 dogs in an 8-hour day, like clearly you're not going to bring in enough money to cover the overheads. And I am not ashamed to admit that I'm not a people person. That's why I'm a dog groomer and not a hairdresser. I'm not a very good people manager. I'm not very good at making sure that people are hitting goals and budgets and stuff like that. I'm glad that I feel like I was a good boss, but I feel like I kind of shot myself in the foot financially over the last couple of years, which sucks, but at least I realized my mistake and I'm not hiring again, so I'm not going to be put in that position again. Personal check-in. Again, I'm looking down at the script. I apologize. Motivation-wise, March felt pretty good. Getting to the end of the ATO payments was such a relief. Sending that last payment, as soon as I sent it, or like it was just a scheduled payment, but as soon as it's sent, I didn't instantly feel like, oh yes, load off my back. But I think it was that weekend I went to Melbourne with my friends. We did high tea. We went to like Kingpin, so the arcade, and we had an absolutely wonderful time. And that kind of felt like a celebration. We didn't go to celebrate the end of my payments, it was just a coincidence. And mental health, like I said, I mentally felt better this month. It was definitely better than February. March was better than February. Knowing I was making real progress was helping. And I've also been like just trying to make sure that I do good things, fun things, nice things outside of work. So I've picked up hobbies again. I can't show you the puzzle because I'm using the puzzle as, you know what? I'm gonna go to the effort. Okay, I was using it as a stand for my tripod, but I went to the effort of getting it. I did this dog groomer puzzle. Isn't it cute? Isn't it adorable? It's a vasche. And yeah, like it's when you do the puzzle, it's something different. And like, you know, shit was going down in the dog grooming salon. Like this dog had jumped out the bath, and this dog was getting blasted in the face, and that one had his hair cut off, and this schnauzer had his beard chopped in half, and like it was great. It was a very fun puzzle, but like just making sure that I'm actually doing fun things outside of work, because sometimes I finish work and then I just doom scroll on my phone until dinner time, then I have dinner and then I go to bed, and that's not fun. All right, I have talked for long enough. Let's wrap up. On paper, March did look bad, but in practice, it was a turning point. Good. It was a good month. It was a good month, and like I said, turning point. I feel like now I'm just starting to be like, awesome. Let's do better things. Let's start buying new tools. Let's start fixing our things. Let's start doing improvements and repairs. I've organized, oh, I just remembered I haven't texted him back. I've organized a cleaner to come in fortnightly and just do like a little fortnightly clean, which will be lovely, but I have to do a deep clean on the salon first because it's a mess. Maybe I should do a video on that. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you're still watching, I wouldn't still be watching. I just ramble. Let me know how your March went. If you own a small business, I genuinely would really like to hear it. Again, I'm not just fishing for comments. I would love to hear. I genuinely just really like talking about business. I wish I had more friends who own small businesses I could talk to. So this is my like outlet for it. I will see you in April, hopefully with fewer dogs and at least one actual lunch break. We'll see. Bye.